Hi, my name is Sheila. Welcome. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the Vulnerable Brains lawsuit. Look, this is coming out of Seattle, but I don't think this is the first one. A lot of organizations, parents, teachers, nonprofits, I don't know, the list is pretty long of people who are upset about how the platforms are now finding ways to take young people and keep them engaged on their platform so that they don't ever leave. Now, I don't know if you remember the congressional hearings that took place where Frances Hogan, I guess that's how you say her last name, testified about, I was really shocked at how much money Facebook was making a day, but she talked about the whole design and the desire of these platforms to keep people on the platform. And so they talk about things like the endless scrolling, where it used to be you had to click on something to see the next thing. And now it's just this endless feed forever. And it's all designed to just keep you on the platform because that is how they make money. Well, when you take a look at kids, this maybe is not the best thing in the world for them. And we're going to take a look at just the introduction. Now, this is a 92-page lawsuit. I have not gone through the whole thing. We're going to go through it together. But in this video, we're only going to go through the introduction. We're going to break down what they are saying the problem is. Some of this we may have heard before, but we really want to get into the details because it sounds like they're really interested in talking about the impact on kids. And let me backtrack for a second too, because I believe, if I remember correctly, this lawsuit includes Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Google, which, has YouTube. And one of the things that I think we've heard people talk about is Instagram in particular, and this desire to present like your best self and how everything is so photoshopped and most of it's not real, and how the younger generation is actually starting to pick up on that, and they're moving towards something that's a little bit more authentic and less photoshopped and unreal. But you still have all of these images out there, people portraying a certain lifestyle, and you have young people seeing this and feeling like they're not measuring up. We just got through this pandemic, and it is really impacting their mental state. And we're seeing this play out. And I think we're going to see some of this direct information in this lawsuit. So we're going to be here for a minute because, like I said, it's 92 pages, but we're only doing the introduction. And you guys, I am trying to do better for the new year. And no, this is not sponsored, but I've got my 62 ounces here. Oh, gosh. Okay, that was bad. That just went everywhere. Great thing I have some napkins right here. I've got my 64 ounces. So I am working on getting in my liquid. And if I did all 92 pages, I probably could finish that off. But let's see if we can jump in. Usually I already have this set up so that I'm ready to go. And I have just not been happy with my camera here. I'm not sure what's been going on lately, but it does appear to be a little fuzzier than usual. It is usually crystal clear. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm live. I think that maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. All right, let's see if I can pull this lawsuit up somewhere on my screen where I have it saved. I have also switched how I am showing this. So hopefully it'll look a lot better. And I've got my phone here, and my phone is actually on mute so that people won't be disturbing us. Let's see. I don't know. This looks good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And this was actually filed just 4 days ago. So this is pretty recent here. Yeah. So as you'll see, as I said at the top, so filed January 6, 2023. 92 pages, which we're not going to go through all of that. And I can imagine that they've got some actual examples in here too. I can't wait to get through it to see if that's in here. But like I said, we're going to start on the introduction today and go over these first. I think it's just 4 pages. We're going to break down these 4 pages. Now let's pull it up so I can actually see it. All right, so this is coming out of, like I said, coming out of Seattle, um, Seattle School District number 1. And as you can see there, they have the platforms listed. So Meta, which is Facebook, and also Instagram, because that's both of them now. You have Snap. Okay, I missed that. Snap, TikTok, which is part of ByteDance. I think they purchased them or something like that. Alphabet, Google, YouTube, which is all the same. So they've put all of these entities in here as the defendant. Jury trial demanded. All right, let's see what this introduction says here. All right, number 1, Meta Platforms Inc., Facebook Holdings LLC, Facebook Operations LLC. Okay, yes, the whole list collectively called the defendants, as you'll see here. It says they design, market, promote, and operate social media platforms. Over the past decade, each has grown their respective platforms exponentially from millions to billions of users. And defendants have grown not just their user bases, but the frequency with which users use their platforms and the time each user spends on their platforms. Defendants' growth is a product of choices they made to design and operate their platforms in ways that exploit the psychology and neurophysiology of their users into spending more and more time on their platforms. These techniques are both particularly effective and harmful to the youth audience defendants have intentionally cultivated, creating a mental health crisis among America's youth. Let me stop there for a second. So that is the opening statement there. And one of the things that I recognize myself is, they now have apps and other mechanisms that you can use to not only just track how much time you're spending on social media, but turn it off for you and say, hey, your social media time is up now. You can't use that anymore. And so there are things that parents can put in place. There are things that we as adults can put in place. For me, I am really not on Facebook as much anymore. I will pop on because I am putting something on one of my pages and I might see a couple of things that are in the feed. I'll scroll through maybe 4 or 5 and then I'm off. The thing about that though is I do find that I do miss some things. And so, if you're only up there for a couple of minutes a day, then yeah, you're likely to miss out on a few things. And sometimes I see that I've been tagged on something and I just have not gotten back. So it's just not a real focus of mine. Now, even though I'm not on Facebook a lot anymore, I do find myself more on YouTube. And they're right. The scrolling feature for both the reels on Facebook and the shorts on YouTube, they will keep you like going to see what's next, to see what you're interested in. And remember, they have algorithms that are designed to feed you what they think you're interested in. That's the plan. So I think we're all pretty clear on that, on how that works. All right, let me scroll up here. It says defendants have done so for profit. Let me make sure I got everything right. Okay. Defendants have done so for profit. Their business models are based on advertisements. The more time users spend on their platforms, the more ads defendants can sell. Correct. Okay. Now, for YouTube, some of us have realized that, and we're saying, okay, well, if they can sell ads, then maybe I can make money off of those ads. And so you see creators, more people on YouTube for that reason. On Facebook, yes, they now have a way that people can earn more money through Facebook Reels. So you have that too. But understanding that, the platforms are there and they're working in a way that's designed to make them money. If they're not making money, they're not going to be able to exist. So we get that that's their business model. This is not anything that's new to us, but they need to make this claim here in the complaint. All right, number 3, youths are central to defendants' business model. Youths are more likely to have a phone, to use social media, and to have downtime to spend on defendants' social media platforms. Plus, youth influence the behavior of their parents and younger siblings. As one defendant put it, losing the teen foothold in the US would mean losing the pipeline for growth. Okay, let me stop there because as I read this, the very first thing that comes to mind for me, and I don't know about you, but the first thing that comes to mind about this to me is the tobacco industry and how the thing about the tobacco industry, and this is why the tobacco industry is different from what's going on here in terms of youth. The tobacco industry knew that its product had issues, and as a result of its product having issues, meaning it would, possibly kill people, had, cancer causing agents in it, they were killing off their own supply of income. So they then had to find a way to make sure that they were hooking new people to it. And so that was one of the things that came out. So yes, the marketing to children, Joe Camel, where you could place advertising and what it had to look like and what kind of labeling you had to put on that, because they understood that at some point it's likely that their buyers are going to die and they need a new supply. They need a new pipeline. So while the cigarette industry and lawsuits a bit different from this, it's still sort of that same model. It's generally every brand's model. Okay, you hook them young and you got them hooked for life. Okay, think about athletic wear and how people who started out wearing certain brands like Nike or something are still Nike people. Some people are like, oh, I've always been an Adidas person. It just sort of depends. But we understand that, part of the deal is you got to keep the pipeline going. Somebody's got to be coming through here so that we can continue to make money. And like they said, parents are working. We're trying to work, attempting to work, pretending to work. We're working hard. Kids have more downtime. And so, yes, during that downtime, what do you see all the time? It's like this, that is what you see all the time. And that's what they're saying here in that particular paragraph. All right. Would mean losing the pipeline for growth. That's a label there. All right. Paragraph 4, defendants have maximized the time users, particularly youth, spend on their platforms by purposely designing, refining, and operating them to exploit the neurophysiology of the brain's reward systems to keep users coming back frequently and staying on the respective platforms for as long as possible. It still sounds like the tobacco industry to me. This idea of hooking you, getting you addicted. They're talking about the neurophysiology here, the brain's reward systems, those receptors in your brain that are just like getting fed and they're just like, okay, more. This is what they're talking about. At least it sounds that way to me. Youths are particularly susceptible to defendants' manipulative conduct because their brains are not fully developed and they consequently lack the same emotional maturity, impulse control, and psychological resiliency as other more mature users. Of course. 6, that makes sense. 6, defendants have successfully exploited the vulnerable brains of youth, hooking tens of millions of students across the country into positive feedback loops of excessive use and abuse of defendants' social media platforms. Worse, the content defendants curate and direct to youth is too often harmful and exploitive, such as promoting a corpse bride diet, eating 300 calories a day, or encouraging self-harm. Okay. And what they're talking about here, this feedback loop that they're talking about, is the whole algorithm. And that's if you've spent a lot of time on these platforms for other reasons, not just consuming content, then you understand, especially people in the industry, you understand the idea of this whole feedback loop and how the platforms set up an algorithm so that you are continually fed things that they think you want. Therefore, you get more of what you want, you see more of what you want, you get more of what you want, you see more of what you want. And so you stay in that loop. Your brain is getting fed. And I'm telling you, it sounds so much like what was said about tobacco with with those lawsuits. It's yeah. But in this case, like I said, you've got this algorithm out there that they've set up to continue to feed this material to not just you, to everyone, but they're saying this is particularly harmful and impactful to youth. All right, let's see where we were. Defendants' misconduct has been a substantial factor in causing a youth mental health crisis, which has been marked by higher and higher proportions of youth struggling with anxiety, depression, thoughts of self-harm, and suicidal ideation. I need a drink. The rates at which children have struggled with mental health issues have climbed steadily since 2010, and by 2018 made suicide the second leading cause of death for youth. The pandemic and the corresponding increase in time youth spend on defendants' platforms has only intensified this crisis. I've been having some conversations with my daughter. She has stated, she's just not on Instagram like that as much anymore. Paragraph 8, the state of children's mental health led the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and the Children's Hospital Association to declare a national emergency, and the U.S. Surgeon General to issue an advisory to highlight the urgent need to address the nation's youth mental health crisis. Okay, so now you've got organizations. These are pediatric organizations that care about the health of children saying, okay, so we're seeing some issues here. And typically, if somebody's going to see the issues, it's going to be them. It's going to be doctors and psychologists, people who take care of children. Look at this national emergency, okay, because they understand that this is a crisis. In 2022, in his 2022 State of the Union address, President Joe Biden also called attention to the harm social media has wrought on youth and implored all to hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit. Well, there you go right there. That's the statement, because we understand that that is exactly what is going on. All right. So let's talk about Seattle schools. And look, we've got some links down here at the bottom. Let me go back for a second. Did I miss any on the first page? There was one down here at the bottom of the first page. It says the title was Instagram Struggles with Fears of Losing Its Pipeline Young Users. Yeah, because like I just said, my daughter is 21 and she's just like, yeah, I'm not really up there anymore. So take a look at that article. That's a 2021 article. And then down here at the bottom of this one, let's see what we have. We have the link for an article, Declaration of a National Emergency in Child and Adolescent Mental Health. This is the American Academy of Pediatrics. And then you've got one from the Department of Health and Human Services. And then you've got the president's address. All right, so let's hit the bottom of this page. Plaintiff Seattle School District 1 brings this action to do just that. Because remember what he just said was hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit. That is like the best sentence right there that captures this to me. Youth in plaintiff's community are experiencing the same mental health crisis observed nationally. King County, Washington, where plaintiff is located, has seen drastic increases in suicide, attempted suicides, and mental health related ER visits. That has made it clear to any parent across this country and here in King County that even before the COVID-19 pandemic, there was and is an existing youth mental health crisis. Paragraph 11, students experiencing anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues perform worse in school and are less likely to attend school, more likely to engage in substance abuse, and to act out, all of which directly affects Seattle Public Schools' ability to fulfill its educational mission. That is why plaintiff, like 96% of other schools, provides mental health services to its students. For example, plaintiff trains its teachers and staff to screen students for mental health symptoms and refer them to services, such as those offered by the school-based health clinics it operates in partnership in King County. But plaintiff needs a comprehensive long-term plan and funding to drive a sustained reduction in the record rates of anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and other tragic indices of the mental health crisis its youth are experiencing at defendants' hands. And then we have the jurisdiction and venue, amount over 75,000, District of Washington, and it's a federal lawsuit. The court has personal jurisdiction over defendants because they do business in the Western District of Washington and have sufficient minimum contacts with the district. So yeah. Yes. So that's the introduction there, and I'm going to stop there because that gets us 4 pages into a 92-page lawsuit in terms of what's going on. And like I said before, it's not like some of this is all that new to us. We've been hearing it. There have been a few lawsuits out there, but we're going to break down and take a look at this one piece by piece to see what the school system is alleging. We're going to be looking at it to see, what kind of documentation are they going to be including here? Are they going to be including specific statistics from their own district? How detailed are they going to get? And remember, this is just the complaint. So a whole lot more would come out, during the jury trial. They've asked for a jury trial. So a whole lot more would come out then. But this complaint gives us like an opening window into what it might look like inside. I think, we've all started to realize how we have this relationship with social media now. It's sort of like it's good in a way and it's bad in a way, because we do tend to get addicted and spend too much time on it and measure ourselves up against some of these other things that we're being shown. And so it impacts our mental health. Then on the other side, it can be a way for us to stay in touch with family and friends, to share things that are important with us, to share information, and to be with someone in a virtual sort of way when we can't be there personally or right there in that physical space with them. So there are positives and negatives, but at this point, there is this concern about what is going on with the children. And remember, the distinction here, when it was older college kids and adults, it was one thing because we were saying, oh, okay, well, we're mature enough to understand what's going on here, and even though it can be really, really hard for some adults to step away too, kids, when they're growing up and youth, their brains are more vulnerable. They're still developing. And so this idea that we have platforms that are impacting their mental health and their neurophysiological system, as the lawsuit said, then that's going to be a bigger concern. So stick around as we break down this lawsuit, because I've got my drink with me. And it's going to take a while to get through it, but we're going to find out exactly what's going on. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you're going to follow along with this, if you're learning more about how this is impacting the kids and what Seattle Public School System is trying to do about it. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like the video. Peace. All right, let's check out of here.